means a lot because it's a part of Mom. And now, with all the brothers and sisters being together, she'll live on with us forever now. And today I think she's gonna rest in peace.
This is a national cemetery in Little Rock, Arkansas, a final resting place for hundreds of soldiers, sailors, and pilots, veterans of every major conflict in the history of this country. Also buried here are two men who are at the center of one of the most intriguing mysteries we have ever encountered. Recently, we came across this article in the Philadelphia Inquirer, in which investigative reporter David Zucchino outlined the cases of 40 U.S. servicemen who died under questionable circumstances. Every case has been ruled either a suicide or a self-inflicted accident by the military. Yet in each instance, there seems to be evidence that defies the official ruling. In May of 1993, the families of 14 soldiers said to have taken their own lives testify before the House Armed Services Committee. Each family claimed their son did not commit suicide. Tonight, we will be looking at two of the most baffling cases, the cases of Sergeant Billy Ray Hargrove and Sergeant Mike Carmichael. The Army has refused to participate in our broadcast and stands by the judgment that the two soldiers killed themselves. Both families say the Army is dead wrong.
Mike didn't have nothing to die for. No more than Billy had to die for. Neither one of them committed suicide. They didn't do it.
Billy Ray Hargrove and Mike Carmichael led similar lives and suffered similar deaths. Both had planned careers in the military since childhood. Both had joined the Army in their teens and become the best of friends as they climbed the ranks. Both had married Korean women while stationed in the Far East. Tragically, Billy Ray Hargrove and Mike Carmichael died within 6 weeks of each other, and according to the Army, they committed suicide in a similar manner. During Operation Desert Storm, Billy Ray Hargrove and his outfit were sent from their base in Germany to Saudi Arabia. However, the conflict ended before the platoon saw active duty.
When Billy finished Desert Storm and went back to Germany, he was disappointed because his men did not get a merit award, a medal that he felt like they deserved. And he set about trying to get the medal for him, and every direction he went in, he couldn't accomplish it.
We're wondering when you'd recommend us for the Desert Storm decoration.
Billy Ray, I appreciate everything you and the men did during the campaign. But since the unit did not go into combat, I'm refusing the application.
Sir, I understand your point, but the men were just as...
I've decided to refuse the application.
Billy Ray could not accept
just...
the Army's decision
Sergeant.
and made a questionable decision of his own. He forged his superior signature on the appropriate documents. A short time later, his men received their medals. A few months passed. In June of 1991, Billy Ray arrived in Korea for another tour of duty. At the airport, he met his wife, Kim, and unexpected trouble.
Sergeant Hargrove?
Yes, sir.
I'm here to place you under arrest for treason. Willis, remove the Desert Storm commendation.
Sir, what's this about?
Take him into custody, Jim.
Just
come with me.
Come on. I'll call you. I'll call you.
Billy Ray called me January the 28th and told me, Dad, I think I'm going to get out of the military. I've had all of it I can stand. And he said, I'll probably be home by June.
Billy Ray's court-martial was not his only problem. In particular, his marriage to Kim had begun to fall apart, and Billy Ray began making plans to divorce her.
I had visited their house, and they were fighting a lot, and there was a lot of jealousy. She was constantly accusing him of having a girlfriend and having a child somewhere that she didn't know anything about, and it wasn't true at all.
Well, I don't think they're going to kick me out. I may lose some rank, but I'm going to re-up. I think it's the right call, man. I've been telling you that. Yeah, right.
Another 8 months passed. According to Billy Ray's family, the controversy surrounding the forged documents began to subside, and Billy Ray told his best friend, Mike Carmichael, that he had re-enlisted. February 20th, 1992, the day of Billy Ray Hargrove's death. Billy Ray had missed a summons to report to duty, and at 9:20 a.m., one of his fellow sergeants showed up at his doorstep.
Hey, Billy, where you been?
I just having breakfast.
Did you not hear the siren?
No. Are we having a drill?
Yeah, and the captain's going ballistic.
Oh, I bet he is. Tell him I'm on my way.
Okay, good deal. See you later.
Inexplicably, Billy Ray never reported for duty. Instead, he took his dog for a walk. "20 minutes later, Kim heard the dog barking.
What's wrong with you, huh? Where's Bill? Huh? Where's Bill?
Kim found Billy Ray hanging by the neck from a nearby tree.
Bill, what are you doing?
An alleged suicide note was found in Billy Ray's pants pocket. It read in part, "My life is really screwed up now, and I just don't know how to fix it. I've been thinking a lot about taking my life for a long time now. Goodbye." Signed, William R. Hargrove. However, Billy Ray's mother questions whether he wrote the note.
I looked at the writing, and I did not believe it was his writing. It did not look to me like his writing.
The Army acknowledges a possibility that the suicide note might not have been in Billy Ray's handwriting. Even so, they ruled that he had killed himself, speculating that he had been driven to suicide by his upcoming court-martial and divorce.
He was not the type person to commit suicide, no matter what. Especially putting a rope around his neck. I just could not believe it, and I still don't believe it. Something happened to him, but he did not commit suicide.
The autopsy report yielded another piece of mysterious evidence that seemed to bolster Sue Nunnally's claim. Billy Ray had unexplained abrasions and lacerations on his face and hands.
That would indicate to me that someone had been in a scrape or a fight, but the military, in their report, didn't question anyone or ask where the scratches come from. They just ignored them.
Billy Ray Hargrove was laid to rest on March 4th, 1992. One of the mourners at his funeral was his old friend, Mike Carmichael.
I do know that there was one part of the scripture.
When I finally did meet Mike, it was at Billy's funeral, when he brought Billy's body back home.
Fear no evil, for thou art
And he told me, he said, Harv said, we'll give them hell. We're going to make them pay, the SOBs, pay for what they done.
After the service, Mike returned to the Hargroves' house with Billy Ray's family.
He looked at me and he promised, and he told me that if it was the last thing he ever did, he was going to find out what happened to Billy Ray.
Just don't do anything until you hear from me.
Okay, bye.
Mike Carmichael's uncle Oscar served in the Marines for 20 years. He is now suffering from emphysema and told us that Mike believed there was a larger conspiracy involved.
And there had been 3 other Army personnel there in Korea that had supposedly committed suicide. And my nephew told his birth mother, said, "Don't be surprised if I'm not next."
On March 22nd, 1992, Mike Carmichael returned to Korea and immediately began his own investigation. He and his wife, Sun Hee, visited Billy Ray's widow, Kim, and collected Billy Ray's personal papers. Included was a letter Billy Ray had written to his father a few days before the hanging, but Harvey Hargrove says he never received the correspondence.
He was supposed to have written me a letter sometimes in February. I don't know when, but he was supposed to have written me a letter. And I'm sure if I could find that letter, it would explain everything.
Mike continued collecting Billy Ray's papers and stored them with his own papers in a metal box. Mike instructed his Uncle Oscar that if anything were to happen to him, Oscar should immediately obtain possession of the box, but Mike never revealed its contents.
I'll see you at the pub tomorrow then, all right?
April 3rd, 1992, Mike Carmichael's 38th birthday. At 10 p.m., he received an unexpected phone call ordering him back to the base. By the next morning, Mike had still not returned home.
제가 부대에다가 전화를 했어요.
On Sunday morning, I called the Army base to find out where my husband was. I talked to a security guard. I was told that he did not see my husband. So I asked him to try to knock on the door of his barracks room. He said that there was no response and the door was locked.
저희 남편은 보지를 못했다고.
An hour later, Sun Hee found her husband's body in his barracks office. He was hanging from a locker and had been dead for several hours. The Army investigation was completed within a few days. They concluded that Mike Carmichael had taken his own life because he was despondent over financial matters and Billy Ray's death. Mike's wife has accepted the ruling. However, his mother and Uncle Oscar have not.
I think he was angry. And I think he was going to direct his anger towards finding out the reason why or who caused his friend or killed his friend. He was happier than I had seen him in a long time, due to the fact that him and Sun E had just gotten married in July. They was just like a couple of overgrown kids, really. And he had that, he had his retirement to look forward to. There was no way that Mike would take his life and take the chicken way out.
Oscar Carmichael soon joined forces with the Hargrove family. They launched a letter-writing campaign asking for the official reports from the military. Unsatisfied with the Army's response, they contacted the office of U.S. Congressman Jay Dickey. Greg Stein is Congressman Dickey's legislative assistant who was assigned to the case.
But even the reports that I could get were lacking in the photos of the crime scene. Other things were withheld or whited out for certain reasons. And after looking at it, I don't think that they took into account all of the different aspects of the case, and they maybe kind of just closed the door without a thorough investigation.
I think the signs are there that there is a cover-up of some sort, and I don't want to accuse anything or anybody at this time of that, but the reason why there would be a cover-up, I don't know. That's one of the things we want to find out. But I happen to think that if we open this thing up, that we will find an answer.
I want you men to clear out, but stay close. I may want to ask you some questions. Move it!
The two families are especially disturbed by the eerie and suspicious similarities in the deaths. Both Billy Ray and Mike had been summoned to the Army barracks. Both men were found hanging just inches from the ground, and both had been tied with parachute cord, which is highly elastic. This is the official crime scene sketch from the U.S. military investigation. Mike Carmichael's body was shown hanging from a row of lockers, a cord wrapped around his neck.
The question marks that come up about Sergeant Carmichael start with the fact that he's in a sitting position some 3 inches from the floor with his body dangling like that. Even the natural instincts of a person would have your hands falling down or pushing against it. There's not any way that our rights, our self-preservation rights are such that we'll do something like that.
Also noted in the drawing was a metal box that contained Mike and Billy Ray's personal papers. It was sitting on a desk across the room from Mike's body. Curiously, the box of letters would later disappear, and no one knows what happened to it. Mike Carmichael's family learned of yet another disturbing similarity between the two cases. Just as Billy Ray had abrasions on his face and hands, Sergeant Carmichael had welts on his face and what appeared to be a gash on his forehead. His Uncle Oscar is convinced that Mike was struck before he died.
You take a pipe, it'll be about 1 inch or 5/8 inch, and hit him over the head with it. That's the kind of valley that you'd find, or crevice, however way you want to describe it. So that's why I say that my nephew, in my opinion, was dead before he was placed in that position.
I believe in Billy Ray's case and in Mike's case too, that something had to be going on that wasn't right, something that they found out about or knew about or maybe was going to expose, and they were gotten rid of.
When we return, the intriguing disappearance of Charles Horvath. Did the young hitchhiker choose to drop from sight, or did he meet with foul play? Imagine your 20-year-old son is traveling in a foreign land. Suddenly his phone calls and postcards stop. Weeks pass with no news, and you begin to fear your child will never come home. This is exactly what happened to Denise Horvath Allen. In 1989, her son Charles disappeared in Canada, halfway around the world from their home in England. Ever since, Denise has been trying to find out exactly what happened to her son. In the spring of 1989, Charles Horvath was in the midst of a hitchhiking trip across Canada. In August, he planned to fly to Hong Kong to celebrate his 21st birthday with his mother Denise and his stepfather. The birthday festivities promised to be a high point in what had always been a close relationship. Denise was just 19 when Charles was born, 20 when she divorced his father. In some respects, mother and son had grown up together. But before Denise could make final arrangements for the trip, Charles disappeared.
I telephoned the RCMP repeatedly begging them to look for Charles because I was so concerned that something was wrong. I then asked them if they could give me the name of local newspapers to enable me to place an ad, as we'd started planning my trip to come and search for my child myself.
Kelowna, British Columbia. For thousands of vacationers each year, it is a favored spot. But for Denise Allen, it had the somber distinction of being the last place on Earth her son was known to have been alive. It was from here that Charles faxed his final letter on May 11th, 1989. And it was here that Denise searched for clues to her son's fate during 2 extended trips between 1990 and 1992.
Yep.
During the first trip, Denise blanketed the town with flyers. She soon heard from a woman named Joanne Zebrov, who had met Charles during his stay in Kelowna.
When I first met Charles, it was of this charming, good-looking guy who was obviously new to Canada. And I really liked him. I thought, well, here's a unique person.
It's my mom.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
He loved his family. He showed me pictures. He was so proud of all these photographs of his mother. They were very close. It was obvious they were close.
The last time Charles dropped by the apartment Joanne shared with her mother, he arrived uninvited.
Is it Joanne?
Yes, it is.
At the time, Joanne's brother was in town for a special family reunion, and the Zebrovs politely refused Charles's request to come up and visit.
There was this momentary silence, and what stays in our mind, fresh forever, is how he went, but it's Charles! And like, of course you're going to let me up. And we just couldn't.
We're having a family dinner. I'm sorry.
Joanne told Denise that the brief chat was her last contact with Charles. To Joanne's best recollection, the episode had taken place in May of 1989, the same month Denise had last heard from Charles.
You keep telling me that you're afraid for his safety. Wow.
Leads began streaming in. Denise soon learned that while he was in Kelowna, Charles had stayed at a campground located in a rough part of town.
Who else was there? Can you remember anybody else?
In spite of the campground's unsavory reputation, Denise knew that she had no choice but to go there and investigate.
I wanted to go over to the campsite to inquire, but I was very apprehensive of going. Eventually, I got the courage and went across to see them to see if they remembered Charles. Excuse me? I'm looking for my lost son, Charles Horvath.
Well, I didn't take into account of running so many drives.
I wonder if you remember
Hey,
him.
each drive takes about 10 walks.
Yeah, I remember him.
Kiwi! How you doing? Ooh, coming along.
Abandoning his tent and all his possessions. Most had been disposed
I think I know what it
of. The few
is.
that remained were close at hand.
I was just numb.
I think I know what it is.
Down to the police station and I was told that they were
It's
going to
some
inform
kind
me
of
to go
building.
to get his dental
The
records,
Colosseum.
and the file was being passed on to homicide. I
In
was
Italy.
also told that they believed my son to be dead, but we may never find his body or what happened to him.
We'll see.
It's very unfortunate
Huh?
that a comment like that would be
Hey,
made,
kitty,
and
you want some treats?
I would have
Shouldn't
to
be
say
having
that
any
would be
treats.
the member's personal opinion and certainly not the view of the police force. I don't know upon what he based that other than the fact items were left at the campsite, and in my opinion, that does not substantiate that.
But on March 17th, 1992, the case took a sudden, ominous turn. Denise came back to her hotel room to find an unsigned letter scrawled in a rough hand.
Hello, Scratch Master.
I
Hey,
seen your
Scratch
ad in the
Master.
paper, looking for
Come on,
your
then.
son. I
How
seen
are
him May
you?
26. We were partying.
Okay,
and two
slow
people
down,
knocked
Dad.
him out. But he died. His body's in the lake by the bridge.
Lake Okanagan, just outside of Kelowna, is one of the deepest lakes in the world.
Right.
Local divers immediately volunteered to look for the body of Charles Horvath.
Chewy.
For 5 days, the search yielded nothing, but the mysterious
Was it?
informant was apparently
Good girl.
watching the divers' every move.
Good girl.
Police received a second note saying they were looking on the wrong side of the bridge.
We're stopping every 10,
Good girl.
Equipped with a submersible camera,
Good girl.
divers began to search at the
Night.
new location. 1 day later, they told police that they had found a body.
You can't really stay mad
The
at
fear
him.
in
Oh,
the
he must have
officer's
slashed me arm
eyes
open.
told me that he thought it was Charles.
Oh, come down to
The
the
total
cabbage.
panic on their faces. I was hysterical and battered and crying, which I assume it's quite normal of any parent. I just couldn't believe that he was dead.
Even before authorities had identified the corpse, local papers were trumpeting the news that the body was that of Charles Horvath.
The coroner came to see me at the motel. I asked him if it was Charles. Was it? No. I asked him if it was good news or bad, and he said it wasn't Charles.
The dead man was later identified as a 64-year-old Kelowna resident, a probable
I think chewing
suicide.
through 95 watts.
Police now believe that the anonymous
Just downloading
notes
stuff.
were hoaxes and the discovery of a body just a coincidence.
Oh.
Once
Might
again,
go
it
in
seemed
and
that
switch
Charles
it on
must be
Palisade
alive.
and file.
Then a man named Gino Bourton came forward, claiming to have seen Charles just before he disappeared. Gino and his son had pitched their tent near Charles while he was at the campground.
He was a nice guy. He was a good friend. He used to always come over to our camp, go to camp and have coffee in the morning and play frisbee and catch with my son and just sit and chat with us.
What should I do with him? Should
take him to Hong Kong with you. That's it. Pack him in my suitcase. There you go. Here's some coffee, some sugar in that machine.
He was a friendly guy, a real friendly guy, probably too friendly. He seemed,
Hey, Gregory.
I don't know, naive on that bit about, like he wasn't, he'd talk to anybody, make friends with anybody.
Gino's recollections added details
How are you
to the
doing?
campground manager's account. Gino had last seen Charles during a raucous all-night party at the campground. The next morning, Gino had awakened to find Charles gone and his things left behind.
When I first established that Charles had abandoned his belongings at the campsite, it was assumed that something terrible had happened to him, which caused him to leave his belongings because it was so unlike him to have left his photographs behind, which were very important to him.
Gino's story seemed to confirm the theory that Charles had met with foul play, but continued investigation revealed that Charles was very much alive long after he left the campground. Charles supposedly called at Joanne Zebroff's apartment in May of 1989, but police later discovered that Joanne was mistaken. Charles had actually come by in July, 2 full months after he had last contacted his mother. This revelation has led some to conclude that for unknown personal reasons, Charles
How are you
intentionally
doing,
severed
Greg?
contact with his family.
Ori.
During our investigation, we contacted 2 of Charles' relatives back in eastern Canada. They related to us that during his time there with them, he did advise both relatives that it was his intention, when discussing his family situation, to disappear off the face of the earth, and that his mother would never find him, and that he wanted to carry on with his own life.
It was totally out of character for him to have gone out intentionally to break away from his family, because he wasn't that kind of boy. He may have tried to imply to people who he wanted to impress that he didn't need his mum. What 20-year-old does need the mum, or would admit to needing them? It's not very macho.
4 years have passed without word from Charles Horvath, but police have received tips from nearly 200 people. Some claim to have seen Charles hitchhiking in Canada as recently as April of 1992. Others are equally certain that Charles Horvath never made it out of Kelowna alive.
If Charles is out there in this world, in a gutter somewhere, he needs picking up and bringing home and getting medical help or whatever kind of help is required. If not, if he is dead and he's been murdered, he needs burying. I've been asking for help for so many years because I fear that something's happened to him, and it'll only be if he's found dead that I'll be proven right. What a way to be proven right.
Charles Horvath would now be 25 years old. He is 6 feet tall, with dark brown hair, dark brown eyes, and a tattoo on his left arm. When last seen, Charles weighed 165 pounds. On our next Unsolved Mysteries, when a 17-year-old girl disappeared in 1974, her family became convinced that she had been abducted by members of a renegade motorcycle gang. The girl's mother soon embarked on a dark journey into the biker subculture. Nearly 20 years later, she believes her daughter is still alive, still perhaps being held against her will. Join me next time for an all-new show. Perhaps you may be able to solve a mystery.
Good luck.
Hi,
Aaron.
Hiya, Aaron.
Hi, Gregory.
This program is about unsolved mysteries. Whenever possible, the actual family members and police officials have participated in recreating the events. What you're about to see is not broadcast.
What happened to Amy Billig, a pretty 17-year-old who vanished without a whisper in 1974? Told that her daughter had been abducted by a renegade motorcycle gang, Amy's mother infiltrated the dangerous biker world, only to come up empty-handed time and time again. Then in 1992, new evidence surfaced that Amy Billig was still alive, more than 18 years after she disappeared. In life, Walter Rice was a reclusive loner. In death, he became a beguiling mystery, a man with no known heirs, and an unclaimed estate of more than $140,000. Perhaps someone watching can solve the riddle of
I have not managed to get up to season 6 on this one. This one's with Robert Beck, I think.
However, Oliver never testified. Just days before the trial, he disappeared, and his family fears he became the victim of foul play. Also tonight, we'll take you to Syracuse,
I did see a couple of episodes at one point on Robert Stack, that's it. Oh dear. I'm more listening to it than watching it. But I glance up now and then. That's what I'm like when I'm working on projects. I'm gonna like that past few days because it's been really hot. And on top of that, I have hot flashes. And it's not a nice thing at all. It's the first time I've had this. I don't know what's caused it or what's causing it. Apparently they might think that it's an infection of some kind, but nah.
Those who do not are eventually presumed to be dead. However, in the bizarre case of Amy Billig, who vanished,
I'm just glad it has cooled down.
the passing years have produced a convincing chain of evidence that she is
Not
still alive. Tonight we
cooled
join her
down
family
enough
in their search.
for me to breathe properly. Because we had like a 3-day heat wave.
Years old when she disappeared from her home in Coconut Grove, Florida. Amy was an
And I don't
accomplished
think we've
musician and singer,
seen the
who also
last of
wrote
it.
poetry
But
and adhered
apparently,
to a strict vegetarian diet. March 5th, 1974. Amy came home from school at around noon as usual. She planned to meet friends downtown for lunch.
yeah, that's
Before
how
leaving,
it's
she
been the
called her
past
father
few
Nick at work.
days, and everywhere else had thunderstorms, and we were supposed to be due for the storms, but and they never materialised. So it's like, right, okay, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, I believe you, not. You cannot trust the weather people. Should I say? Just look out the window. You had a tornado? Did you see it? See, I'm not saying where I go, but I've been following quite a few storm chasers. And the reason why I'm not saying it is because of beady ears. That is my private go-to thing. Because I'm being stalked. But other than that, I've just been watching. Alright. Wow. Apparently we have tornadoes here too in the UK, but they're only benign. They're only like F1, 2, something like that. Well, they're funnel clouds, that kind of thing. Well, I managed to clear up some of the twigs what were on my garden lawn. They're ready to be put in the bin. And then it started raining. But yeah, I did a bit. Just trying to get the garden back to the way it should. But I haven't been able to do any of that because it's been so hot. So it's very rarely that you get them. It's like that here, we very rarely get them. Unless, you know. See, the thing is, I hate storms. I just hate the thunder. I don't mind the lightning so much. And I'm going on a journey. Oh, you'll have to not email me. I think I got you guys on Facebook. I think it's more down south in the UK. They usually get it, but we had a funnel cloud here, in Cheshire, and it's like, wow. Oh, well, look out for that then. Yeah, I'm just thunderstorms and me. Nuh-uh. I'm bleeding 40 years old and I'm scared of thunder. Oh, we only managed to put the aircon on for an hour or two and it did not help one bit. No, I'm going on. I have been researching a lot because I've got I've always been interested in tarot reading, and I got this cheap, by the way. So it's a 65 card deck, and it's from John Holland. Psychic Tarot for the Heart Oracle deck. Apparently you can do normal, it's not just for the relationship end of this one. It could be done for normal readings and whatnot, and I've been learning loads. So I'm going on a journey with that. Tarot reading. I'm gonna get a different deck. One that has always been people have used a lot in their readings and whatnot. So I'm hoping to pick up sorry, my feet have gone to sleep. Ooh. You watch. Now it's cooled down a bit. It will keep raining non-stop. Nuts, this place is nuts. What's a what? What's a puzzle? I don't know. It looks like a Colosseum, but I do not know. Gary bought Gary picked up this, right? And he did not know what was inside, so he opened it and managed to get, there's three other different puzzle bags. So I think there are 1,000-piece puzzles, but we don't know what they are. We do not know what they were. So there weren't a mat in it though.
Oh, it'll keep you busy.
Yeah, we just don't know what it is yet. But it looks to me like it's a Colosseum.
Yeah, that's what I said it was. Colosseum
Yeah.
after seeing that. I thought it was a Leaning Tower of Pisa, but it's not.
That's what I said.
I called it first. Leaning Tower of Pisa. Pisa. That's what I thought it was, and then it does look like the Colosseum. But I don't know.
No, we won't know until
Because there's another building on the right hand side. So
Yeah.
it does look like the Colosseum.
So it's a mystery. That's why I called Mystery Puzzle. Mystery Puzzle Live. What could I put on freaking Unsolved Mysteries? We were having a lovely conversation.
That could be cabbage.
Yeah, for dinner.
For dinner, yes. Cooking some cabbage for dinner.
Yum. Well, yeah. It'll be a mystery for everything. For all of them.
I'm just downloading games. Now what else I can do?
Not until you get that thing come through.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's through or not, but it leaves the watermark on the screen. What's on the menu? We're having chicken Kievs with steamed sweetheart cabbage and cheese and onion crisp bakes and cauliflower cheese bakes.
Different?
I think there was something else.
I think that'll do it.
Yeah. I might do some, I've got some spinach and garlic mash as well.
For the past few days we've been having sandwiches.
Because it's been so frigging hot.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, with the temperature that we've had.
Oh, do you want some dinner?
So now we've been able to eat something properly.
Okay. If you want. What's your bowl first? What's your bowl?
Well, I've already put it in sync. It does sound nice. Sweetheart cabbage, I love cabbage. White cabbage. White cabbage and sweetheart cabbage are my only favourite cabbages that I like. I'm not so keen on those leafy ones.
Anything clean? Anything clean? Let's see what kind of dinner we can get you. Beef. Or roast beef. Roast beef. Yeah.
Yep. Ham and coleslaw sandwiches.
Can you get your favourite? Oh! Found it. Roast beef. Yeah. Open the package. Here we go. Yeah, nice one. Nice dipping. Very nice.
The other puzzle.
Sandwiches.
The other puzzle was a nightmare.
You've got no power. I know, I was just reading that. You had all bad storms or a tornado or something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
God. You're all okay.
See, I always watch me Storm Chasers.
I think that's all we'll do. Oh, I'm putting some chicken strips in as well. To tone down them Kievs.
Mm.
You know how strong they were last time.
Oh
Put
gosh,
that
yeah.
much garlic in them. Burn. Have you dinner? Have Isn't that dinner? Is it yummy? You ain't broke feet. Yeah, I can figure that. You baked cat.
There you go. This will get better now.
Never did arrive at her father's business, and she never showed up for her lunch date.
I started getting a little frantic when I hadn't heard from Amy by dinner time, and I called the friend that she'd said she was going to be meeting, and the girl was quite angry. She said Amy never showed up.
We interviewed all of her family, all of her friends, all of her acquaintances. We did a lot of canvassing of the neighborhood where she was last seen. We did everything we could to try to find her. You know, we checked with hospitals and morgues and police departments all over the state and all over the country.
I remember the house was like a flurry of activity. People were coming around. There was a lot of people around the house trying to help out, manning the phones. And there were so many telephone calls coming in. The phone seemed to be ringing off the hook.
Mom! 12 days after Amy's disappearance, a frightened woman phoned with shocking news.
Hello?
The anonymous caller claimed to be a member of a motorcycle gang known as the Outlaws, and she claimed that the Outlaws had taken Amy.
Where?
During the 1970s, renegade biker gangs unnerved communities across the United States. Susan Billig learned that a chapter of the Outlaws, one of the most notorious gangs, had indeed thundered through Coconut Grove about the time Amy disappeared.
We had to consider that maybe Amy was abducted, kidnapped, taken away by these bikers. But it was always controversial with the police because these leads concerning the bikers were always vague and usually ended up nowhere.
However, to the Billigs, the biker connection offered a ray of hope. A family friend who had done legal work for the Outlaws arranged for Amy's parents to meet two gang members.
Hi, welcome to my house. I'm Susan. Won't you have a seat?
I was frightened because I had never seen people like this before in my life. And here they are.
Windows 11 Pro Professional.
I got a feeling
219 quid, that is.
revulsion and hate and love at the same time.
6 quid.
I wanted them to give me information
Paid for
about
that.
my child, and that was paramount.
Bargain.
I didn't care what they looked
Well, I hope Len's
These
okay.
are pictures of my daughter. She's missing.
I ain't seen her.
See, this is why I always have these battery backups here, don't I?
She's got brown eyes.
We always
long
have battery
brown hair.
backups,
She's
so if
17
anything goes off, we can
tall.
still use computers and everything.
They told me that these things
Fridge
do
freezer.
happen
Hiya, Rocket. How you doing?
Hiya, Rocket.
to one another. for
We
very
didn't win
little,
today,
like a
Rocket.
credit card or
I just,
That's very
I
good
ended
to
up
buy,
just fucking watching something else I did.
We'll take it.
I was watching something else. I was just like, I can't be bothered. I put my numbers in, but he was just like, yeah, whatever. Well, at least I know that works. So I've got to do that to yours. And I've got to do it to the other one. But I've already paid a key for that. Try again later. I don't think I'll bother. Just fucking trying to get other shit done. I know I saw other people were live, Veteran Scratcher was live, Captain Scratch was live, but it was just like, I can't be bothered. I had other things, I've got other things what I do, what are more important. Yeah! Hello! Yeah. Did you have your dinner? Yeah, your dinner's nice. You have roast beef, didn't you? Yeah.
She does that to me too.
Stop it.
Picture. If she's in, yeah, I know some. We'll let you know within 2 days.
She's already done me today.
I'll let you know.
The two bikers promised to ask
Isn't
other
she?
gang members about Amy, but they were never able to provide any information.
Amy,
looks like the puzzle might be a piece of tower. No, it's not.
No.
It's a Colosseum.
It must be, but I don't know yet.
Making the money, either top
Thank you, Smudgy.
ripping off credit cards,
Yeah.
Anything that she can do to bring.
She went berserk on me.
To many bikers, women, or as they call them, old ladies,
Absolutely nuts on me, that cat did. She tried biting me, but luckily bit me thumbnail.
I think she's
Before I turned 13, I had been.
because she hasn't been sleeping.
She's not been getting any sleep.
That's why she's grumpy.
She escaped 5 years later.
Yeah, we think it's a Colosseum. But there's another building on the other side, and it's like, it doesn't add up to where that is. And there's a lake. So it's like, what the hell is it?
Oh, we'll have to wait and see.
Hurry up!
The Susan Billy, the thought of her
Yeah,
daughter
Colosseum, yeah, I know, but it's like...
But that was where
Who knows? Who
that was where
knows?
she searched.
Just get on with it.
3 months after Amy's
I thought it was a graveyard.
Mother Susan tracked
You don't
the
see many
outlaws to a
graveyard
lab
puzzles, do you?
160 miles away.
No.
There she questioned dozens of people. Finally, the manager of a convenience store told Susan that Amy had come in several times, always escorted by at least 2 bikers.
How long ago? Oh, I don't know, maybe a month or
Yeah,
so.
I'm messing
Came in
about
here a
with the
couple of
computer
times with some
anyway,
guys.
downloading stuff.
Did she say anything to you?
Games.
No. But I remember her because she was, each
what it
time she
runs
came in,
like.
she bought vegetarian vegetable soup. And that stuck out in my mind.
Vegetarian soup.
That's her.
Yeah, Colosseum, I think. We don't know. I'm guessing it is, but I always thought the Colosseum was in a much busier place in Italy.
I'll do whatever if I see her again.
You know, obviously there's roads around it and stuff, but I just thought it was like smack bang, you know, where it was all busy and built up.
On January 9th, 1976, Amy's 19th birthday, a biker whom we will call Dave contacted Susan after seeing this picture in a newspaper. Dave claimed that he had actually owned Amy at one time. He agreed to talk to Susan, but only at his house and only if he drove Susan there.
I thought I might never see my husband again when I got on the back of the bike. I
don't
thought
think
I would
it
never
is
see
a
Josh,
Colosseum,
I'd
you
never
know.
see Ned again.
Well,
I
we'll
don't
just have to wait and see.
Back of my head, and I got on the
I
bike.
don't know now.
And I went. He was very nervous about it. He kept looking out the window to see if I had been followed.
Just look at this picture and tell me if that's her.
Keep an eye on the forecast for tomorrow, if not Tuesday.
Yeah, she
So I'm getting
when I
cement
first
work
bought
done.
her, she had lumps and was all drugged out and didn't talk.
He said she was quiet, that she didn't speak to anybody, that she was afraid of everybody. He said she was like mute, and the word kept coming up in descriptions of her through everything.
There was a scar down here.
The most
Okay, Rocket.
Okay, catch you later, Rocket.
was that
It's
Amy
8 o'clock
had a
anyway.
scar And it was a scar
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
gonna
hidden
call
on
it
her
now
body
anyway.
that I had never
Managed
divulged
to
to
do a
us
bit.
or the press or anyone.
You've got to help me find her. You're my last hope.
All right. When I went into the joint, I left her and my bike with a bra. I gotta find her.
When you find them, I've got to see her. I've got to talk to her.
We'll see.
No, I have to see her.
I said, we'll see. Let's go.
I wanted to kill him. I wanted to tear pieces out of his skin. But I didn't. Because it was important for me to relate to him on a one-to-one level. Otherwise, I would never find Amy.
Susan could do little but wait while Dave made cautious inquiries. Finally, he called with dramatic news. Amy was with the outlaws in Tulsa, Oklahoma, some 1,200 miles away. Susan agreed to meet him there to press the search for Amy.
We were concerned about her safety. We were concerned about the investigation. We didn't think it was a good idea, but it was impossible ever to try to discourage her from following up every lead, no matter how dangerous. She didn't care.
June 1976, Tulsa. Amy had been absent now for more than 2 years, and the moment Susan had long dreamed of seemed to be at hand. Dave told Susan that Amy would be delivered to them at a tavern in the roughest part of town.
Amy's in there. I wanted to see me.
I was extremely excited. I called home and I packed my bags at my hotel because I thought I'd have to run to the airport with her. And we went to this dark bar where there were just bikers and people drinking, drunk and everything. And he sat me down somewhere and then he walked away from me.
Right back. I gotta talk to somebody.
A few minutes after he walked away from me is when all hell broke loose in that bar. I was afraid that I was going to be killed.
Susan was hustled outside, where as if by plan, a taxi was waiting to whisk her back to the hotel. If Amy had been anywhere near the bar, Susan never caught a glimpse of her. And Susan never again saw Dave, although she learned that both his knees had been broken during the brawl.
And of course, at this point, he didn't want to help me anymore, but he did say to my attorney that the only information that he would give me is that he has heard that Amy was possibly in Seattle at this point.
In November of 1977, Susan went to Seattle, even though she had suffered a heart attack just 2 months earlier. Susan began to frequent tawdry bars, tattoo parlors, and motorcycle shops.
I showed lots of photos to street people, to shop owners, to topless dancers. And I said, look, there's no police involved, it's just me. I want my child back. If you have any information, please help me. And you have to understand, these people all have mothers, and that's how I affected them.
Several people recognized photos of Amy, and they described her as always quiet, as if she were mute. But in the end, Susan returned home empty-handed. 18 more months would pass before news of Amy surfaced again. It was the dead of winter in 1979, the 5th year of Amy's absence. An anonymous mail caller claimed Amy was at a remote truck stop just outside Reno, Nevada, and that she desperately needed help.
The information was that I'm here now, I know who Amy Billig is, I know she's been beaten up, she's been drugged, and she's here now at this truck stop. And if you want her, you come get her now, because her life could be in danger. Just respond, we might be able to find her.
I'm going to call it now anyway.
Learned that a biker gang had indeed been at the...
Right, I'm going to call it now, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I will be live later on, and we'll have some Wheel of Fortune. Lots of love to you all. Take care now. Bye. See you later.